So Alex is our academic coordinator at Macmillan Education in Brazil. Has been involved in English language teaching since 1998, although he doesn't look old enough. And intriguingly, used to work as a translator for MTV Brazil. Perhaps if we have time at the end of the webinar, you can tell us about that, Alex. And Alex is here to unravel the mysteries of how we can use gamification for motivation, engagement, and success in fluency activities. So, welcome, Alex, and I'll pass over to you.
Thank you so much, Mike. What a great pleasure to be here with you all again. For those of you who weren't here in the morning, hello. Thank you so much for participating, and I hope that we can share as many details with you today regarding gamification, fluency, ideas for us in the classroom, for us teachers who want and are always avid for more, right? Because we want to contribute to learning. We want to accelerate knowledge. So awesome to be here. The weather is beautiful outside. Here, I think it's around 24 to 25 degrees now. Very good. Hello, everyone. I see that we have some people from Portugal and Brazil, so I'm going to speak a little Portuguese. Olá, bem-vindos, obrigado. People from Argentina, and so let's switch to Spanish really fast. ¿Cómo están? ¿Están muy bien? Sí, muchas gracias. Sí, te agradezco que están acá con nosotros de Argentina, de México y de todos los países de América Latina. And for those of you who speak French, I could say bonjour, merci à vous. C'est un plaisir de parler avec vous aujourd'hui. C'est très amusant. On est très content. But that's the only thing I can do, okay? These are the only languages that I can speak now. And for the other ones from, there was someone from Lithuania, maybe. Sveiki. So I'm going to say labas, because I'm from Lithuanian descent. But all the other languages, I'm sorry, I'm working on it. We're very passionate about linguistics, so maybe next time I can try some Dutch, some Arabic, something, you know, but hey, thank you everyone. So let's start. Again, we're going to talk about gamification. I highly recommend you, labas, Vitalia, labas, Viso, right, in Lithuania. Gamification by Dr. Deborah Healy. This, I mean, when you read it, it's going to be really eye-opening and your mind mind-blowing, because I mean this is really, really interesting, the gaming elements that we can use in order to make our classes more fun and dynamic. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that in the next 40 minutes. Okay, so before we start, I want you to watch a video, okay? So let's watch this video and just think a little bit about it while you watch it, okay? So as you can see, you notice that In the beginning, we had stairs and we had an escalator, and then we had, let's say, 66% of the people using the escalator. So 2/3 just going through the motions of the day, you know, we don't want to do anything. All of a sudden, the escalators are gamified. They're gamified and they become a piano, right? So now I have the novelty element. I have this beautiful piano that I can play but as I'm playing, I'm also climbing the stairs, right? So what's the result? What's the outcome that I'm getting? I'm actually burning calories. I'm getting healthier while I'm also having fun. So that's the thing. I'm having a great time, and then I'm also having fun, and I'm not thinking about, let's say, the fact that I'm climbing stairs, the fact that I'm actually burning energy. So this is basically to show you that we can gamify anything. We can use gaming elements in any situation. Okay, so these piano stairs, they were, it was a project in Stockholm in Sweden, and they noticed that 2/3 of the people opted for the stairs after they were gamified. So, and this relates to the fact that we've always been happy with, you know, play and games, right? With just playing, having a great time, and that comes ever since we were kids. So remember when you were a kid, you were discovering the world through games, right? Yeah, Carmen Virginia is saying, curiosity is aroused, exactly. So curiosity is a way, Veronica, oi, it is a way for us to experience the world. And when we experience the world as kids, everything is a challenge. When you look at a bucket, when you look at a new toy, when you look at like a slide or a merry-go-round, how do you experience this world? So you learn from a very early age to be curious and then to enjoy the experience or not. And then you start using these situations as buffers for you to be better in the future or get something out of it. Anyhow, games and play. This is super important. When we talk about gamification, we're talking about game elements, right? Elements from games. So what's the difference between games and play? Without really getting too technical, basically, someone from Buenos Aires, hola, sí, un placer gigantesco de estar con vosotros. Games and play. Sorry that I'm paying attention in the chat because I want you to participate, okay? So we can pretty much feel that this is a classroom and we're all in the same room. But the difference that I want you to remember is just that games have rules, and rules that come from the outside. So we're not really devising the rules, although we can. But a lot of times, you know, with these games, they are already set, and we have to follow the rules and follow the win conditions and everything. So that's basically the difference, because it's a system, and with systems, we do have to abide by these guidelines. So with games, it's no different. But basically, games are systems built for us to learn patterns. So when you're a kid and you're exploring, you know, a park or a sandbox, you are learning patterns about the world. And it's the same thing with a game. You learn the pattern, and this will help you get something in your mind, which is a neurochemical, a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is related to fun. So fun is related to serotonin, to dopamine, to all these good feelings that we have. So we want to experience that again because that makes us feel good. So it can be a challenge, but if it makes us feel good, we want to relive the experience, right? For various reasons that we're going to discuss today. So we are engaged. Once we're curious, we are engaged and we want to know more and we want to do more. Let me share with you this beautiful number, 10,000. For those of you who have heard of the book Outliers, we have something called the 10,000-hour rule. If you do something for 10,000 hours, if you play the violin, if you play the violin, right, for 10,000 hours, chances are that you're going to become an expert. Obviously, we can discuss talent and everything, but the thing is, if you really commit for 10,000 hours, very likely that you're gonna really excel at practice. But we spend at school 10,000 hours from the time that we're 6 up till the time when we finish high school. And hello from Belgium, yeah, Antwerp or Brussels. 10,000 hours, the same amount that we have in the classroom from students who are 5 years old until they are 21, they also spend the same 10,000, not the same, other 10,000 hours playing games. Can we believe that? This is amazing to know that people spend so much time playing games. And teachers spend a lot more doing lesson plans. Sorry. No, that's awesome. But basically, why? That's the question. Why? And the question is related to this guy here that I showed you. This image here tells you a lot. This guy started playing that game when he was 18 years old, okay? Because this guy's got spider webs. He's got long hair. Look at his beard. But he is there. He's having a great time. He's, going through this fun experience. So we need to understand that, and we need to take that to our advantage. As teachers, like I said, we are facilitators of knowledge, but not only knowledge, we are facilitators of experiences. We present challenges to students. We present opportunities for students to be more curious and for students to change their minds related to various activities, right? Exactly. We have to be enthusiastic. And the beautiful thing about the word enthusiasm is because it means the breath of God, right? I mean, translated from Greek. I love that word. So very good that you picked that, Fernanda. Enthusiasm, which is a combination of being curious, being motivated, being inspired, okay, all these things. But even when people are not motivated or not inspired, we can guide them, we can coax them, we can help them just be better and feel better about themselves. Because it's not that we're posing challenges and challenges are going to be hard to overcome. It's not that. It's the challenges have to be associated with fun. Not all the time, but if we bear that in mind, if we consider the fact that having a fun experience is related to overcoming a challenge, changing from point A to point B, and then getting something out of it, okay? So this is what we're gonna try to do that. Let me give you 4 types of fun. So when we talk about fun, we think, it's just a very broad term. But when we think about certain types of fun, we have people fun, which is related to the social aspect. So if I'm playing cards, maybe I don't even want to win, if I'm playing poker, but I want to be with those guys or with my friends, girls, guys, and chatting and having a good time and asking about their lives and things like that. So we're socializing. So it is a game, but it is people fun. It's the game for the social aspects. If it's easy fun, it's something new. So you tell me, have you ever heard of this game, Candy Crush? Have never heard of it. My interest is going to be piqued just because, hey, I've never seen it. Let me look at it. It's novelty. I want to check it out. So easy fun is just something new. Hard fun, that's where we actually arrive and we start thinking about proper gaming, because for us, hard fun is the challenges. Teachers are always posing challenges. The challenges that they have to be related to the development of the student, obviously, right? We have to bear that in mind. Like Vygotsky used to say, like the zone of proximal development, we have to help students be better through the challenge, but they have to be able to do it by themselves. So hard fun, is related to games. So chess, Sudoku, any game that will pose a challenge, a Rubik's Cube, or not even that. I mean, it could be a video game, right? I mean, it's just the fact that you need to think. You're going to have to use more brain power to overcome the challenges and the levels and the stages, and then you are going to succeed. And serious hard fun, but in a way you're actually getting the meaning. For example, let's say if you're playing Civilization, right? And then you're learning about empires, about the Persian Empire, about the Roman Empire, or you're learning about history, Alexander the Great, things like that. You're learning about the structure of the world. At the same time, there's meaning there because you can discuss philosophical issues, historical issues, and so on and so forth. Okay, so bear in mind that when we talk about fun, there are various ways to use it, okay? So I can see that you've been active in the chat. Let me just try and see what's going on here. You're sharing a few links here. Very good. Please do share. Like I said, this gamification, I think you all have to download it. And also you have to go on onestopenglish.com. We're going to type that in as well, or for the resources, because there are tons of resources there that we can use for gamification. But hey, I'm here to give you the basics. I like this part here because we talk about the player types. The player types are something that I love discussing because we're all very different. We all have different likes and dislikes. And when we play games, we also interact with the games and the players in a different way. So look at this image there. This is a beautiful summary. This theory was actually developed by Richard Bartle, who's a psychologist, and he thought about these 4 types when people play games. You have killers, you have achievers, you have socializers, and explorers. So when you think about soccer or chess or boxing, anything, any game that you might think of, you're always going to have different player types that are going to succeed in these ones and maybe not the other ones. So what are killers and achievers? Well, as you can see, they are at the top there, and killers and achievers, they interact more with the players and the performance. Well, I mean, if you interact with the player and the performance, you're more of a killer because you're competing against someone. So I gave the example of Formula One in the morning, right, with Ayrton Senna, with Alain Prost, or Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel. But we can think about other types of rivalries, right, with basketball, with Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, or Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I mean, it's just, when you think about the game, and you can excel at a very high level, but you're thinking about the opponent. You're trying to be better than an opponent. This is one type of personality. It usually falls under that umbrella. You play to compete with others. Now, okay. Oh, Bernadetta has a very complex question regarding George Orwell. And well, at the end of the webinar, I think I can answer that question because I will give you the elements and then we can discuss that again. It's very interesting to discuss that. So I'm definitely going to remember that. For the achievers, okay, so killers, we got them, okay, it's covered. For the achievers want prestige and success after the game is done. So after it's finished, then it's time for them to get the laurels, right? To get the awards and to receive the whole recognition that they deserve to receive. So it is about performing, but it is about being very good at the game itself. So if you're a great chess player, chess club, and then you perform really well, after you do it, after you won the world tournament, you're actually gonna, for a long time, reap those benefits, okay? So these are the 2 types. For the socializers and explorers at the bottom there, they interact, it's about the interaction itself, and the socializers are gonna interact with the players, and the explorers are gonna interact with the game, okay? So Minecraft, very important and famous game, and Dr. Deborah here, she talks about Minecraft. For those of you who have kids who like Minecraft, basically it is a virtual game where you can use blocks, right, bricks, to build worlds. So the explorers what are they going to do? They want to change the game in a way. They want to design, they want to develop the game, so they want to be part of it. That's the thing. It's completely different than someone who wants to compete with others, or someone to want to have success, to gain success, or someone who wants to play just for the social aspect, okay? So every time that we have students in the classroom, it's going to fall under one of those aspects. Obviously, it's not black and white. I mean, there are a lot of shades of gray, but we tend to have these types more pronounced, depending especially on the situation. Okay, so bear that in mind. Think about your students. Who is more of a killer? Who's more of a player? More of an achiever? And then we try to cater for those students to customize their learning experience. Okay? Any questions so far? So far, so good. Are we good with the player types? Did you like knowing more about the types of fun? Now with the player types, let's see what you think there, because this is important. You know, it's because when we come up with a game idea, right? For example, let's say we want to play something like Candy Crush, Farmville. Well, Farmville is very much about the socializers, you know. Oh, someone is asking about the task types. Well, I mean, I didn't really find a formal test on the player types. Kind of like let's say like personality types. If you go to the Myers-Briggs website, the personality type, you can test it out. I didn't really find one like a formal one, but what we can do is we can get the main aspect and we can try and map towards the students, right? So we say, for example, let's say, well, for this game, it's, let's say, a running game, and they're competing against their friends and they want to beat their friends. Obviously, they're telling you that they are more of a killer type of player type. And if, you know, they want to socialize and everything. So, yeah, we would have to fine tune that within our classroom. Perfect. I think we're good with the chat there. So I'm gonna keep on going, okay? If you have any questions, just feel free to stop me at any time. I know that I can't see you, but we can use the chat there. Anyhow, continuing talking about elements. Again, let's think, what is gamification? Well, gamification is using gaming elements in non-game contexts. So I'm actually going to type that in the chat. It's gaming elements. That's the main aspect. But these gaming elements, they can be related to mechanics. They can be related to emotions, okay? So I mean, we have many possibilities here. So one of the possibilities for gamification basics for the aspects is the use of leaderboards, okay? And I want to discuss the use of leaderboards with you because maybe in the classes that you teach, you already have a leaderboard, maybe using cardboard on the wall, right? I mean, and you post the information there. Erica is asking about digital games. It's the same thing. I mean, maybe the dynamics might change, right? The dynamics might be different because it's online, but it's still the same. You're gonna have to have a challenge. You're gonna have to have curiosity, engagement, fun. So go for it. Okay? I mean, there are many games that you can use online, and it's no problem at all. But the leaderboards, usually I put the leaderboard there because it's more controversial, and even Dr. Deborah here on the paper, she talks about that because she actually mentions the fact that some students might feel demotivated, you know, with the leaderboard because they don't want to compete like that, because again, it comes down to the player type. If you are a socializer, you're not really much into the leaderboard. But what you can do is you can have different types of leaderboards. You don't have to have just one leaderboard, and this leaderboard is going to be about points. You can have a leaderboard about being a helper, right? How many times you have helped people. So it's more related to social emotional learning, things that are related to helping others, to collaborating, to cooperating. That's a possibility, okay? So socializing matters. Something else. You don't have to have individual names on the leaderboard. You can have teams. That's exactly what we do on Navio. Navio is our platform for our course books, and it's gamified. It's gaming. It uses gaming elements, and one of the elements is the leaderboard, but it's based on the teams. So students get together, they create a team, right? They form a team, and then they can post their results there on the leaderboard. I mean, they're going to be there for them to check. The name of the platform is Navio, Navio, and it's linked to the course books, to Macmillan course books. So if you're teaching with a Macmillan course book, such as Big 5, High 5, Ferris wheel, well, I mean, there are some course books that are linked to this platform. And we have various situations where students are actually going to play games, and we're going to have gaming elements as well, like leaderboards and the others that I'm going to discuss. But what really matters here, guys, is to use leaderboards accordingly, depending on the situation. So sometimes it's going to be like, my students are okay. They want to have a leaderboard. We did a class vote, and it was, democratically voted that a leaderboard should be posted. It's all about opportunities, okay? It's all about knowing your community. And if it's not great for you, then we think about something else. But just bear in mind that this will help students visualize their achievements, okay? Exactly. I like that, Maria. It's not about winning. Exactly. It is about having fun. It is about drawing something out of the experience. What have I learned from this experience? It's about reflection as well, right? Reflecting on what we did, and for next time, how can I change? Do I need to change? Things like that. Make it meaningful. I like that too. It's related to serious fun, remember, right? So exploring the game and expanding the game to a more meaningful scenario. Exactly. It's about achieving something. Exactly. Could be achieving success, like an achiever, right? Gaining prestige because you are so good at that game. Or it can be achieving, maybe knowing more about yourself, maybe feeling more socialized with the experience because you were part of this group and you all did together and you played a part in this project, okay? So it's not only about the win. I mean, it depends on how you see it. So it's perspectival, okay? It's based on perspective. Very good. Following our program here, this is an example of a leaderboard from today, from last week, from the month, the performance. But like I said, this is a matrix. And what is a matrix? It's a fancy word for rows and columns. So basically what we can do is we can change that. We can be explorers and we can change. We can say, well, in my class, the leaderboard, it's not about, let's say, points. My leaderboard is going to be about socializers. So I'm going to try and make it social oriented. This is for 1 week or 2 weeks. For next time, we're not going to use that leaderboard. We're going to have a different leaderboard, maybe towards the killers and achievers. So it's going to be more about points. That way, everyone is getting a piece of the cake. Everyone is feeling like they are having an opportunity to shine. Because if you allow, for example, let's say if you have a leaderboard for the number of times that students have come to class, we're going to discuss this later. It's completely different. I mean, it's out of their control. It's things that they're not going to control, and still they can be awarded points. So this is going to be more related to cooperation. Hey, please, you have to come. Maybe I have to persuade you to come. I'm going to call you. I'm going to send you a WhatsApp because you need to come because I want to get my point. I need you, so let's work together. So this is the thing, right? It's having ideas that are out of the box and trying to change. People like changes, because they get out of the comfort zone. So that's what we're doing as teachers. As teachers, we're always trying to get out of the comfort zone and in a let's say expected way, in a way that it's planned, So it's never really repeating things and getting things too let's say lukewarm kind of temperature, but we want to raise the challenge. but we want to make it in a planned way, suitable for the student. Okay, so leaderboards are taken care of. Okay, let's see. I swiftly change my leaderboards to my least successful students. Very good idea, you know? Invert the whole thing. I mean, change the polarity, right? Just go, exactly. For example, let's say if you're doing a writing context, I mean, there are many ways for you to invert things and say, hey, you know, we're going to discuss that. It's just that I don't want to talk about that now because I'm going to ruin my my surprises. Okay. Okay. Well, it depends. It depends on the games. You know, sometimes you're talking about TTT. That's right too. You know, teacher talking time. Right. Teacher talking time is important. With games, you know, if students are participating and if you make them interact, you're going to increase the amount of STT, student talking time. Gamifying the grammar lesson, Parisa Abasi is saying, increasing student participation. So basically, you are a mediator. As a teacher now, you are like a facilitator of knowledge, mediating the situation. We call that monitoring, right? For those of you who have taken the CELTA, it's the monitoring phase where students don't even know if you're paying attention because you're actually allowing them to have space and they're playing the game, right? Exactly. They will feel more in control because Dr. Deborah talks about that in the article, okay? About control. I mean, sometimes when we control too much, they lose the motivation because they want to be more in control. What is that? It's the explorer type of player type because they want to participate. Collaborative learning. What is collaborative learning? It's the socializer. They need the other person to be with them. They want to be like, okay, this trio here, we're going to name the trio. It's the, let's say, star power trio. And we're actually going to win together because it is a social aspect of the situation, which is beautiful. So that's why when we start thinking about it, we start noticing, yeah, you know, it's this player type for the leaderboard. Yeah, let's invert the things. Let's change the game. Very good, very good. Serpo Cherninsky here talking about collaboration, the opportunity to go through some indirect correction. Exactly. I mean, you are, again, you still do the things that you do on a daily basis. You do feedback, you do homework correction, you correct on the spot, you don't correct, you monitor, you do all these things, but at the same time, you are aware of the gaming elements that help you with students. Because motivation, you have different types of motivation, and we're going to talk about that. To speak more, that's the fluency. That's the speaking skills. I love that, and I encourage students to speak more. Badges are going to be a beautiful way for students to develop their speaking if you want, because you can have badges that are mapped to speaking skills, to role play, okay? I agree, Fernanda. We don't have to overuse the games. Sometimes we can do just the activity. We can go through the motions, but then we can find maybe 5 minutes for a game. It doesn't have to be the whole class. That's why it's not really hard science in terms of like formulas. It is understanding and applying. It's applied situations. And when we say applied, it's the aspect, the unknown aspect, because there is a variable that we cannot really know for sure, which is the student and the personality and the player type, right? And the interaction of these students in the classroom, right? Because you never know. I mean, 16, 20, 25 people interacting, sometimes 8 people. It varies, right? But what I do know is the fact that we all want to be recognized as individuals, and we all want to feel good about things that we like or things that we perform well. And having a badge is having a visual sign. You're mapping that medal, you're mapping that token, that piece of it can be anything, paper, sticker. You're mapping that to a concept. So if I get the badge of best writer, and I love writing, well, what an accomplishment. Because it's my thing, it's something that, you know, makes my world go round. I love doing that. if I get a badge of public speaking and I want to be a lawyer and I want to be a politician, wow, that's beautiful. I'm so happy. But then sometimes you can also find badges that students don't even know that they have those abilities, and they deserve to have those badges. So that's why I like to use this way and from games, because if you think about various games, sometimes the badges are all grayed out, but you're already showing the badges to people, Let me give you an example. If you go to Khan Academy, right? I'm going to type in the website here. He started teaching mathematics, and then he developed the whole website to teach sciences like biology, chemistry, physics. So he teaches subjects online, right? He's got tons of badges, and you see them, and they're all grayed out because it depends on the situation. Sometimes when you finish something really fast, then you get the speedy badge. Sometimes when you get 2,000 points, you get the emerald badge. And let me share that this badge system is actually percolated in society, For example, let's say when you get a credit card, and if it's platinum, or if it's the black card or MasterCard or whatever, Sapphire, these are badges in a way. I mean, when you show people the credit card, it is obviously a badge in a way. It's a token. It's mapping to a certain concept. In our case, it's actually mapping to beautiful concepts. I mean, you're a helper because you worry about people, because you want to help them be better. I mean, you wear the helper badge and you feel good about it, okay? So bear that in mind. It doesn't have to be only for young learners. You can devise badges that are that work really well with teenagers and with adults, okay? Everyone likes, let's say, movies or sports. Why not create these badges when they tell stories about these things during their speaking sessions, okay? Very good, very good. I appreciate the fact, nice idea with badges. Very good with maybe Victoria, right? I cannot read the Cyrillic alphabet in Russian, but it looks like it was Victoria. Victoria. Okay, badges. Let me show you types of badges. So here we have even the Oscars here, right? For someone who gets an award for entertainment, right? I mean, maybe they created a show or a scene, right? They were acting, and they deserve to get the actor's badge. Or they develop a poem, right? Beautiful poem using rhymes. They get the poets, the Shakespeare, the Bard. Why not have the Bard badge, right? And I will give you a website for you to devise your badges. It's called Canva, www.canva.com. This website is free, and you can devise various types of badges, just playing with the ideas. Like I said, think of a way to map a concept. So if someone likes to make things, let's say you can use spaghetti to come up with a building. So you're more like the maker, like an engineer. So you get the engineer badge, okay? It's all about your imagination, all right? Very good that you like these ideas. Hopefully, the Canva website, hopefully you're gonna go there and devise various badges. So we talked about leaderboards, we talked about badges. Now we gotta talk about levels. And levels are so great because we can link them to our classes, because we use books, and books are always, they always have a syllabus, right? A scope and sequence. And the syllabus is divided into units, right? Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. But when you talk about units, I mean, everyone is used to a unit. Everyone is already familiar with the idea. However, if you think of units as levels, now they become steps. Steps for me to go from point A to point Z, because I want to do it all, okay? And obviously, we do increase difficulty in a book, right? So the curriculum is divided into bits. so we can slowly but surely absorb those contents, okay? So let me show you a beautiful idea here. Why not have, instead of having, let's say if you're going to give them 8 units throughout the year, or 12 units, depending on the book that you're using, why not assign an animal or whatever thing you want to do, a star, an animal, anything that they can feel the progression, that they can visualize. Our minds are very much about images. We think in metaphors. That's why I try to give you images. The image of the guy playing games with the long hair, with the spider webs. I mean, the images are very powerful, because sometimes it's easier for us to map, or not even to map, it's just to store the image. Because when we use words, we have to map the words to the concepts, and a lot of times the concepts have to be visualized. That's why sometimes mathematics is hard, because when we try to visualize in our heads, and you try to visualize a cube or a sphere or a pyramid, it's not as easy for you to rotate things in your mind. However, with English, we can always map the words to various images using flashcards, using animations, using video, using drawings, okay, using games. And with the syllabus, beautiful way. I mean, why not unit 1? It's not unit 1 anymore. It's the amoeba unit. Because you, by the end of unit 1, you become an amoeba. Vitalia is asking about 18 to 19-year-old students. So let's say teens, late teens, young adults there. Everyone likes to have a challenge, and I would love to have, I mean, let's say 18-year-olds, okay. If they like Harry Potter, maybe not. If they like Star Wars, it depends, you ask them. And then you can create the levels based on the characters, right? So from a normal character to a very powerful character. You have to have that feeling of progression and of increased difficulty, because people want to overcome hurdles in life, but they want to feel good about it. So you need to have the fun aspect. But in this case, I'm just giving you ideas with animals here. So amoeba, oh teacher, now I'm an amoeba. Okay, well, next month you get to become a fly, and you give some fancy names. Here we have names in Latin. So you're not any fly. You're not a random fly. You are actually an insectus verbosum. Sounds like a Harry Potter spell, right? Insectus verbosum. Anyhow, next month you can become a crab. Okay, so crabs, and then you can become a fish or a frog or a bird. Now I'm a bird. I don't want to be a bird. I want to be an eagle. Okay, because I want to fly. I want to experience the world kind of like a drone, you know? So it's basically something that you could think about in order for you not to treat the lesson with numbers, you know, just treat the lesson with levels. This is one of the ideas. Let's see. Yeah, sometimes, like you said, you know, with adults, it might not work. You might have to change this to the universe of the adult. If it's a one-to-one class, or if it's a group of adults within the business world, then I would have the Warren Buffett unit, okay? And then I go to the Bill Gates unit. I mean, what do they like about life? That's the thing. I cannot give you an answer because I don't know the students themselves, but you can gamify, because let me tell you something. Stories are in the heart of everything. When you talk about Ferrari is a story. I mean, there's a story about a family, about this, about that, with the car and the colors. When you talk about anything in life, it always comes down to a story. And you can use those elements to get people curious and to get people participate. Okay, so you just have to adjust, obviously, right? Cool. And then we have the badges. We devised the badges on Canva. We have the leaderboards. We thought about the lessons. We have the levels. So they are going to progress. Now, once they start doing the activities, we need to share that. We need to share that with the world. I mean, it's time for us to let the world know that we're doing this and we're doing that. And this is what people do on Instagram, you know, they just want to be noticed. But that's the thing. You're not only awarding individuality, you are actually trying to cater for the collective aspect. That's why you can use the teams, okay? You don't really need to share. But what you can do is you can help them think about the idea, or if it's age appropriate, right? I mean, if it's Facebook or Instagram, if they want to share, or not even that, if they want to share with the school, right? I mean, if there's a system or a platform, okay? Yeah, some people are just saying that maybe badges for adults are not really the best way but I tend to think, is it really? Because online, a lot of adults want to collect badges, right? I mean, like I said, with games, you know, you have the trophies and the badges, and so I think it depends on the situation. Sometimes with certain adults, it's not going to work, but don't really think that just because badges don't work for certain types of adults, it's not going to work for others, okay? Because we can find ways to use them. All right. Very good, yeah, very good, Circle. Okay, now, everything that I talked about, the number one thing is always to think about the challenge. So every time you think about, okay, I have a group of adults, I have a group of teens, I need to think about the challenge, because it has to be something related to their lives. It has to be something related to something that they might enjoy or they might be curious about. Maybe they have never heard of it, but they're going to be curious about it. Then I have to think about the win conditions. So what do they get? How can they win? Or is it about the win, about like the victory itself? Or can I only assign situations to the groups? So we're going to discuss that with real life examples in 1 minute. Leaderboards, I can use them, I cannot use them. Badges, same thing, depending on the age, depending on the theme. But remember, we always like to use badges for various situations. Like I said, remember the banks, the credit cards, remember the games from Khan Academy. Remember all of the situations that you had ways to use tokens, to map these tokens to concepts. So badges are a complex subject that we could spend hours discussing here. So think about that. Think about the social networking and the sharing of the information. And you can use a point system, right? You can assign points because that's going to be easier for you to keep track of. But it doesn't have to be only points. I mean, you can use words like excellent, like phenomenal. It's not as easy to gauge, right, with numbers because they are discrete, right? Because you have integers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's easier for you to gauge how people are doing, okay? Anyhow, this is the most important slide, y'all. It's the gamification loop. When we think about games, you need to have those things there. If you were developing a game, you would have to think about those things, okay? You have to be fair. They have to feel that they have possibilities to win. It's not only random things. It's not like a slot machine, right, in a casino. It is actually, I put my effort and I'm awarded because I'm putting my effort, okay? Yes, I like the idea of students devising their own badges. I like that because it's the maker. Now, the maker movement is huge, right? Because students want to know about things, but they want to experiment. So that's the thing. 3 things: inquiry, knowledge, experimentation. It's always about that. So inquiry is like asking a question. It can be the challenge, right? So why is the sky blue? This is a project, okay? But in the case of a game, it's like, what is the purpose of the game? And what do I get when I finish the game, right? So it depends, but it's always the question, the big question, the inquiry. And then we get the knowledge, so we get to know the game and we get to perform really well. And then it's the experimentation, it's the whole activity, it's the doing. And if you're making, you're actually developing the game as you go. So you get to learn with the mistakes. That's the thing. When you're a maker, you get back to the drawing board because you're actually testing things out. You're testing things as you go. So it is okay to make mistakes. That's what we have to encourage students to do that. Okay? Very good. Inquiry, knowledge, and experimentation. I like that approach because that way I'm trying to think of all the steps. I have curiosity, and curiosity will lead to engagement because they're curious. I have knowledge in a way that because I want to advance learning, I want to accelerate knowledge. And then I have experimentation, meaning that it's not going to be only theoretical, it's going to be practical as well. It's about the hands-on. And sometimes it's like, it's that moment where I feel that I'm actually contributing, right? And I think this is the huge difference from the classrooms of the 20th century compared to now, this 21st century, because now it's about making things. It's about trying to help students be more like, okay, let's try, let's test things out, and let's see if it works. That's beautiful. Okay? Very good. Peer help. And peer help means what? Cooperation, collaboration. It's going to go really well with socializers, and it's going to draw the attention towards the collective. Very good. Alrighty, so the gamification loop. Now for us to finish, because we're almost running out of time, I'm going to give you some practical examples. Like I said, sometimes when we think of awards, we always think about points for mistakes, for cohesion, coherence, things like that. We don't really have to just use technical aspects. We can actually award for anything. So for example, total class attendance. Like I said, this is something that I can do, I can contribute, but I cannot really accomplish on my own. I need my friends to be there with me. So this gives me a sense of collaboration and participation. I have to work together to get those points. All right, so that can be a specific badge for that situation. Okay, so I just think that by doing so, we think out of the box and we present ways not only to award people. So if you have a leaderboard for total class attendance, that's fine, it's collective, okay? So everyone is part of that. Everyone is playing a part when it comes to that. Homework. I want to assign homework. I can assign collective homework and individual homework, collaboration, and also individual work. And I can assign points, achievements, not only points, could be badges. Okay, and correct. All student answers all the questions in an exercise correctly, or all the class, or the group, right? That trio there. So just thinking about various situations to award students, okay? 1 month without a missed class, Vera, very good. That's a possibility. Just award them, because that way they're going to work together. They're going to try at least, okay? This here, now, leaderboards, very controversial. Just to finish, what is my point? I've spent a lot of time talking about leaderboards. My point is, you have the numbers there, but you can also assign badges to the ones who are not performing really well. So let's say if Paula is making many grammar mistakes because she's trailing, but at the same time, Paula is very creative. Paula writes the best introductions about the story. She's very creative. So when she comes up with a story, it's beautiful. She starts off really well, and she's having a great time. So why not give her a badge of most original story? Okay? Why not give her a very creative badge and put that on the leaderboard? So it's about finding ways to cater for every student in specific ways. You're customizing things or personalizing the experience, because everyone is going through an experience, but we're not really, we have to focus, we have to shine a light on certain areas. We're like a beacon, you know, and we're just changing where the light goes, okay? It's about being inclusive. I love that, Maria. I love that. You're thinking about the whole umbrella. Very good. Another beautiful way, I love this. Look at that, guys, the story cubes. I've never heard of the story cubes. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you can download on the App Store, on Google Play, the app for the story cubes, and it's going to give you random cubes, or you can buy the dice. And that way you can use the dice like this and just toss it, and whatever comes, whatever pops there, you can come up with a story, so you can help students with ideas. Because sometimes the students are like, oh, teacher, I don't want to do this activity. I want to talk about a story because I have no ideas. It's not that. It's just that they're kind of, at that moment, not feeling like coming up with the brain power to create a story. But at the same time, with the dice, you give them the possibilities for the stories. Okay, so I give them a helmet, I give them a crown, I give them an octopus, and then they can start, okay, let's think about the mountains. It's a land with mountains. Okay, is it day, is it night? We have a group of pirates. Oh, really? Do we want to be pirates? So we're practicing. They are practicing. They are creating. They are articulating the sounds. They are practicing prosody, right? I mean, rhythm, stress, pitch. But without focusing on that, we're focusing on characters. We're focusing on the storyline, on the plot, okay? So bear that in mind. And if you don't have money to buy the story cubes or to download, if you don't have a cell phone, no problem whatsoever. You can create these dice with paper, glue, scissors, just improvise, right? Okay. That way you can gamify writing, you can gamify speaking. Basically, you're working with productive skills and you're trying to come up with storytelling ideas and gaming elements, okay? Another idea that I really like is just working with flashcards and working with flashcards in different situations. Like the movie Back to the Future, you know, just give them a flashcard of Marty McFly and give them a flashcard of Professor Emmett Brown. And then from point X to point Y, what happened? You know, in this case, I give this flashcard here, a donkey and a boy. They look very sad. It's scorching hot in the desert. I have a cactus there. What's going on? Let's see. Whoa. And then I show this scene here. Something has happened. I mean, I can practice the present perfect if they are intermediate, like B1 level, right? What has happened? Well, the boy has gone to the desert in order to explore this situation. Okay, so this is Peter's idea. What about you, Sophie? What do you think about the desert? Why was the boy there with a donkey and why were they sad? Okay, so you're just using two flashcards, but then you're also thinking about the gamification. So the challenge here is to describe a scene. Let's hear the descriptions and let's vote for the best description. It can be a group. And then if the group wins, then the group gets the most original storyline badge, for example, okay? You're using two flashcards, you're coming up with an improvised badge, and everyone is getting happy because it's like, oh, you know what? Very good, very great, I got this badge. I was very creative with my story about the desert and the boy and the donkey. Simple, nice, off you go, 5-minute wrap-up session to finish the class, okay? So you're still doing ideas and activities that you used to do, but now you're seeing from a different light, from a different perspective, all right? So this is to conclude. Basically, gamification for English teaching is important, for any language for that matter, because sometimes you can encourage people to do things that they don't want to do, or they think that they don't want to do because of motivation, because of not feeling curious about it, okay? Exactly. It's thinking about the stairs and the metaphor of the stairs, climbing stairs. You're not climbing stairs, you're playing the piano, even though you're climbing stairs. So that's the thing. Even though I'm doing a grammar activity, it's not a grammar activity anymore. It became a memory game. It became a bingo. It became a chess game. Okay, you can think about various situations. I described a few here. Tried to give you a few examples. Hopefully, yes, it's learning without realizing, because this is great. What is learning when you don't notice learning, especially with the language? When it's implicit, or the word that Chomsky loves, tacit. When learning is done tacitly, it's acquisition, right? When you acquire a language, you don't really know that you're learning, even though you are. But you can try and emulate acquisition in various ways. And gamification can help you with that, okay? So it's tacit knowledge, exactly. I like that. It's just because you're focusing on other aspects. And then naturally, or at least in a more, let's say, in a more immersion-like way, you're going to draw the attention towards that without really having to talk about it. Unconscious, I love that word, unconscious, because you're actually doing other things, experiencing. Very good. And now it's time for questions. If you want to ask questions regarding anything that we've talked about, because we ran out of time.
Hi, Alex, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So, yeah, as Alex said, we will ask Alex whatever questions we want to in a few minutes. I just want to say, on behalf of Macmillan Education, a big thank you to all of you teachers who have attended from all over the world. Some of you very early in the morning, some of you very late at night, and an hour in a teacher's life is a very long time, and we really appreciate you spending that with us. And I'd also like to say a quick thank you to the team here, Kasia, to Sonali, for all the support in putting together today's webinar.